Good evening. Welcome to the Board Game BBQ Halloween special. I'm going to end all of my sentences in large upward inflections.
Scary.
That's enough of that. So welcome to the Board Game BBQ Halloween special. We've got 7 people in the chair, but rather than go through and tell you who they are, we're going to see if you can guess who they are by these fantastic introductions coming up shortly. And there is actually 9 introductions, so you also have to guess who's missing. All right.
A man's journey to find the perfect deck of 33 cards sent him mad, so he actually believes he is part of the Arkham mythos.
Evening, Connor.
A mad scientist so creepy, he uses components from all his evil Griffin games to perform experiments to try and find out what Vital Lacerda's next game will be. A demon so positive about playing his next game that a 5-day trip to the underworld to play them sounds like a great time. A man willingly possessed by the ghost of a 5-year-old child so he can play family games all day long and not be judged. An evil so terrifying that the D in his first name is silent. A freakish creature that is made of an estimated 100 billion bacteria per gram when wet. A cultist who sacrifices components to the gods of Stonemire so that he might one day have Jamie Stegmaier come to his birthday party. A man who was bitten by a hyper viper, only to slowly over years transform into a living playmat. A soulless ghoul that bleeds only beige, scouring the streets looking for a meeple to place in a spot on the board to remove a bland resource cube.
Well done, Adrian.
There you go.
Oh,
Good
that's
work.
so good.
Good work.
Awesome.
Very good.
This is a bit of fun.
Okay, so
The
that
birthday
sets the
one was my
tone.
favourite.
Yeah, the birthday one's my favourite. I have to
That's great.
I don't know. I love the idea that it's all thematic and then it just goes to collecting a bland resource with the people.
What would that bland resource
I'm gonna do
be?
this. Ugh.
Or,
Wood.
Yeah, wood and wool.
That's
or
better.
leather.
Yeah.
Everyone else can take their masks off now. So. Very good. Well, welcome. As I said, tonight we are joined by Adrian, Mitch, Sarah, Jules, Connor, and of course myself, Steve. Dan and Def are not here with us tonight, but we'll definitely put a photo of them in the bottom left and right-hand corner doing something embarrassing. Welcome everyone. How's everyone going?
Good.
Not too bad.
Very good.
How are you guys
Yeah,
going?
good. Thanks, Steve.
Good to hear. So the focus of tonight is really we're going to talk a little bit about some scary games and some scary moments in games, but then really just have a chat about board games for the next period of time. So we'll throw it out. We'll go around the table. But has anyone got any scary moments in games they can recall without notice? Who would like to?
I had a scary moment the other day. Actually, it wasn't a scary moment in board games. So as some people might know, we got a brand new puppy a couple of weeks ago, and I believed he could not get on the table. And unfortunately, my belief was wrong, and he got into my copy of Wingspan, which was recently opened. So I quickly counted I counted all the pieces, counted all the eggs. I'm missing a couple of eggs, so.
Oh, no.
That's all right.
So you're just
They'll
waiting
turn
for him
up.
to go to the toilet.
You give it 2 days, you'll get them back.
I've been doing the rounds around the backyard to see if any pastel eggs turn up.
That's fantastic. If you find one, you're going to have to video that and send it to
Oh,
Jamie.
yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah, it says how much.
Maybe I'm not the cultist who's offering games up to Stonemaier.
That's fantastic.
Excellent. Anyone else? I mentioned one. It's not really a Oh, be quiet, phone. Apologies. Silent. I had a game night one night and had a whole bunch of new players play. And this lady turned up and she was very keen, but I was teaching her how to play Splendor, and I must have had to go over the rules about 17 or 18 times. And that's not a very difficult game, but it just wasn't sticking. And I kept on explaining things, and then she'd do a move. I'm like, oh yeah, but you haven't got the gems for that yet. Or and it was just continually going back. And I'm running this game. It's one of the first ones I did. So I wanted to make sure everything was going really well. And the frightening part of that was after I taught her that game and I got up from that table going, oh gosh, it's over. I heard someone else say, what were you guys playing? And I said, oh, it's us. She said, oh, Splendor. Would you like me to teach you? And that was frightening because I was worried that person was never going to come back. So, a little bit.
Or
off
any of
topic.
the people that she taught.
That could have been just fun to sit back and see what sort of game she taught and see if she just invented a whole new version.
Splendor.
That could have been amazing.
She might have created a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's right. She's like, we played this other way earlier, but there's like 17 wrong things with it. So I've just changed them.
Did she go from that to the designing Inish?
Oh, come on now.
Don't know.
Bitches on the board.
Very good.
Well
Very
done.
good. It's one down.
That's right. You got a target on your back tonight.
But when I was trying to think of a scary moment in a board game, not necessarily a scary game, have any of you played Magic Maze?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had that moment where somebody bangs that piece at you because you need to do something,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you don't know
Yeah.
what to do?
Yeah.
It's a game where, for those who don't know, it's a game where you're not allowed to talk, and that is horror for me in itself.
Yeah.
Like I can't shut up. And in that game, you all have to work together. And there's a moment where if you need to do something and everyone knows what you need to do, they can bang this piece at you saying you need to do something. And that is some of the most intense, like anxiety-driven things I've ever had happen in a game, because I don't want to let everyone down. I don't want to let the game end because of me. And just that banging of that piece, it's so passive-aggressive and not my favorite game, that one.
Yeah, especially because they can't communicate with words, so they're just banging this piece at you, and their eyeballs are like they've just got the crazy look in their
Banging
eye.
for is the banging like you should know this or take your
Yeah.
Yeah,
time, or
so
what
you're
is
not,
it?
you're
Yeah.
not, I don't think you're supposed to bang it, are you? You're allowed to place it in front of the person to say,
Right.
I believe you've got a turn you need to make.
You need
Mike
to do
wasn't
something.
getting the hint, so they
Yeah.
had to, really
Yeah.
stop what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Exactly.
Well, there's a timer. There's a timer. There's a sand
Yeah.
timer going all the time, so it does like make people a bit frantic, and
Yeah.
then that's when they start banging the thing. And
But
You're
like
not
you didn't
allowed to
notice it
point.
was there in the first place, right?
Don't have
Oh, you're banging it now. I said now.
it's so funny when you see two people just going back and forth, because one thinks it's one person that has to do the thing, and then
Yeah.
and another one thinks it's them, so it just goes back and forth, and you're like, well, one of you's wrong. I know which
Yeah.
one it is.
I've had it's not really a scary moment, but a similar moment in the crew. We're playing a lot of crew lately. And there's one other guy that we play with who's played a lot of trick-taking games in his past. So he and I guess we know how to communicate with cards better than the other two that are at the table. So we've kind of got our own little meta system of communication going. But we needed to communicate that to the other two players, and we couldn't. So it was like, I'd play a card, he'd look at me and kind of, agree or like, approve. And then the next person playing a card, and we're both just looking at each other, looking at the card, looking at the person. It's like, can you not? This isn't going to happen. Then it goes to the next person, and the wrong card gets played, and we're like, well, all right, next hand. And it just kept happening and happening, and then like we can't say anything. And then after 5 or 6 goes, we've lost. We haven't achieved the goals, and we're out. And we're just like, all right. So 4 turns ago, if you did this, and then it's like this long big explanation thing.
Similar if you're playing something like a Mysterium or a Code Names, and if someone makes a comment like, if you don't get this one, I don't know what else I can do. And you're like, oh my God, your anxiety just goes to 11. And it's like, I'm going to get it wrong now.
Yeah, and especially when they say that after 2, they give you a 2, and you're like, "Are you sure? Like, I can't even see 1." You know, like, yeah.
My worst codename story is actually Codenames Marvel story, which I don't know if my dad listens to the podcast, but too bad if he does. We're playing with him. He was on my team, and on the Marvel ones, the word is on the one side and the picture's on the back. So this picture. There was this word which was the name of this person who I didn't know, right? And then on the back was the picture of that person. But of course, I haven't seen the picture because it's face down. But when Dad's looked at all the cards that he had to figure out, he's looked at the back of them for some reason. So he's there going rifle 2, and I've chosen some other card, and it was one of them, and I'm trying to choose this other one. I'm like, there's no other rifles. There's nothing that resembles guns on this page. So I just guessed something and I was wrong. I'm like, oh, well, at least he'll come up with a better example next time. And he just looks at me and goes, rifle 1. What are you doing? And then he got so angry at me. And at the end of the game, he's gone, can't you tell? And then he flips it over and shows me that he's holding a rifle. I'm like, it's face down.
He turned it into a game of memory.
Except I didn't have a chance to memorize.
I just love the fact that he didn't give you a new clue.
No.
He was like, no, you're getting
double
this.
down.
You're the wrong person here.
Yeah.
You might have your own kids, but I'm still your dad, and you'll listen
Do you
to me.
remember what the word was?
No, it was it's just a character's name. I can't remember the character, but it was the picture he's holding a rifle. Well, that's all I remembered from that.
Nice.
What else is more panic inducing than if you're playing like Werewolf or Blood on the Clock Tower and you get put on the chopping board and you're innocent and you have to try to make yourself not sound guilty? You know?
Yeah.
That's a big one as well.
I get more anxiety
defensive.
when I am guilty, and I've got to try and wiggle my way out of it, because I'm terrible at those games. Usually, I'm fingered in like the first 5 minutes, and then I'm just spend the whole game trying to dig myself out of a giant hole.
I feel like you've been picked on. Gave me the name.
If you've
Evil.
just tuned into the podcast, just go back 30 seconds and listen to it again. It'll make a lot more sense.
And just look at Steve's expression on his face. That was fantastic.
It could have come in at a very wrong time there.
I'm definitely better at being the guilty one and manipulating the situation, because I don't know, I just feel more comfortable doing that. So it sounds horrible. But I just do. I just prefer.
You say you feel guilty afterwards.
Yeah, I still feel guilty, but I'm just good at it for some reason. I don't know why.
I think we can all agree here, though, that the best werewolf player out of all of us is Connor.
Yeah.
He's skilled at that.
That's still as one of my top 5 moments in gaming. The fact that it happened to me, I was so happy that it happened to me, because I could. No disrespect to anyone else, but I knew that like I had the right sense of humor to be like, oh well, that's just bad luck, like whatever. But if it happened to anyone else, you could have had a riot on your hands.
For sure.
Like you would have had lots of terse emails.
So
What
if you're not
happened, Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah, context.
So, a bit of context. So when we played with the one game, I haven't gone back, but the one game we played,
Did you get an invite?
Yeah, no, I didn't get an invite because it was useless. I got silenced in the first round, so I could stay in town, but I couldn't speak, so I wasn't even allowed to vote or anything like that, and that was fine. And so I was like, right, okay, here we go, and no one's asking me questions or anything or any discussion. I'm like, right, here I go, I'm in for the next time. And then the way that you delivered it, Steve, I was like, I'm dead, aren't I? I'm definitely dead. It goes, and everyone else can everyone else can keep their cameras on except for Connor, who's been killed. So I was silent the first round, and I was killed in the second
And then just
round.
murdered.
And the worst part was Mike was one of the werewolves. Look out for him.
No love lost in the barbecue.
I believe I voted for you to stay on that one. I was like,
I
poor
probably
Connor,
did.
poor Connor.
Yeah, it's
That
all,
was hilarious.
That was gold.
As a moderator, I'm like, I've got to be able to do something about this. You can't have someone being voted out without saying a word. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
It actually, like, to be honest,
werewolf.
it didn't bother me. It actually made the experience so much better because I had that story to tell now. So, but they're probably the scariest games that I play. Like, because you actually do the amount of anxiety that they cause, but it's good. Like, it's not bad anxiety, but the fact that you're like, oh, I can't believe they think it's me. I can't believe they think it's me. Like, you just get so confused that you're in a bizarro world.
For me, Spyfall is the worst because when you're the spy, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
Like at least in Werewolf, you know some of the roles. You can kind of, I'm a villager, I'm this and that. You got a little bit of, you can rely on a bit of lie telling or whatever else. But in Spyfall, you are just hung out.
Well, how's this, Mitch? I went to it was my first time going to this game group on Saturday, and we played Spyfall. That was the first thing we played, and I get social anxiety, so already I'm anxious going to this new group. We played Spyfall. I was the spy 3 times in a row, and I'm just sitting there like, I just don't want to be the spy. I really don't want to.
No.
And 3 times in a row, but no one guessed it was me because they were like, well, it can't be Sarah again. Like, it's just not going to be her again 3 times in a row. It was great. So I actually did all right.
Thank you, probability.
Yeah.
Is it
Is it
randomly
randomizer?
assigned? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You shuffle the cards up and you deal them out, and it's just pure shuffling or dumb luck. But they're different situations every time, so it's just really. But that's happened a couple of times that I've played it too, Sarah. Is that it's happened to some other people.
That's
where it's
happened
like,
to me.
You are really bad at this, but you can't be the spy because you're the spy last time.
That's happened to me in Secret Hitler, where I've got like liberal, then all of a sudden get the fascist right at the end of the last round, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's been liberal the whole time." You just keep saying the same story, and they don't think any different.
Yeah.
Sarah,
I already
when
think
we
you're
played Among
trustworthy.
Us, weren't you the imposter like a heap of times in a row as well?
Yeah, I think I was. Yeah. And then your daughter, your daughter Steve was an imposter as well with me. And I thought she was going to keep me safe. And I thought I was safe to murder someone in front of her. And she just threw me straight under the bus. That was hilarious. She's just like, report. And I'm like, wait, no, we're doing this together.
We're friends.
No, she works alone.
So good. I get that, Connor, because I was playing a game recently, and I thought I was being really good in contributing to the group, and I picked up on some body language of one of the people, and I outed them. I said, "Look, I could be well off here." As I was giving my speech, he nominated me, and it was the 3rd nomination, so I knew I was going to die. But I'm like, "Cool, well, there's your first hint," and I gave my reason for why I thought he was a werewolf, and I said, "Look, I'm just a standard villager. I may as well kill me because it's better than having." Because there was a rule where if we didn't kill anyone, 2 people got killed by the werewolves that night. So I'm like, you're better off killing me, keep someone else alive. And I've done this whole thing. And then this other guy, just before we went to vote, just goes, "Yeah, I haven't trusted a thing Steve said all night." And then they killed me, and I was a villager, and the guy I outed was a werewolf. So I was like, oh, well.
Vengeance.
Vindication.
Yeah.
Do you think that potentially the game that scared people the most is Ouija, like Ouija board? Do you think?
Probably.
Is that even a game? Like,
I didn't know it was a game.
Apparently.
Not a game.
Of course
Connor.
it is a game.
It's not a game.
I've never done it. I've never done one before, so I don't know.
I don't want to, man. No.
Yeah, it's just a world I'm not interested in. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Uh,
No.
I remember as a kid, Nightmare used to freak me out. Did anyone have
I
that?
love
Like when he got
I've got it
angry, when
behind
you were
me.
running out of time and his eyes went like green and like
Yeah.
bloodshot. That was creepy.
I've got
It
it
did-
behind me, but missing the VHS.
Oh.
All on
but-
YouTube. It's
yeah,
on
it's all
YouTube.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that's true. It's on YouTube.
I'm fairly sure it's being re-released.
Oh, really?
I bet you it will be. I
It's,
wouldn't be surprised.
What was the second one? It was Nightmare. Then they brought out a second one, which was
it was like in a-
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere,
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
think Atmosphere is getting a rerun. So
Okay.
Yeah.
there we go. It should have already been out really because they would have made sales leading into Halloween. But
Absolutely.
I can't remember the mechanics of the game. Was it like a roll and move kind of thing?
I can't
Collecting
remember
some
either.
cards.
It was something along
Kinda
those
looked a bit like
lines, but then
Mitch.
he'd stop you and it'd be like,
Yeah.
now whoever's just rolled the dice, you have to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine they could do something cool with that if they took away the roll and move and made it something else.
We could use apps or something like that, like with
Yeah.
timers and apps. And you don't
It
need
could also
the
be
DVD
really
on the
terrible.
VHS. Yeah, it could.
It could be.
It could be.
There's
It
a
could
large
be.
Either
scope for
way.
Isn't that just Manchester Madness?
Yeah.
Pretty
There we
similar.
go.
Pretty similar.
But a guy with a lot of zombicide behind him, I'd be careful.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Is that your nightmare, Mike? That your like mountain of plastic will fall on you and like no one will hear you scream?
Absolutely, that's a nightmare, man. That's horrible. I'm moving house in 2 days, and I'm going to be so careful with my babies because I can't mix them up, man.
I don't know. It'd be a cool way to go though, like murdered by the miniatures of his favorite
Zombicide.
board game.
There's some spiky bits in that game, man. I wouldn't put it past it.
Very good.
Well, I had a scary moment the other day. My friend lent me Spirit Island, which was really nice. I was hoping to play it solo, and I had it out on the dining table. And I also had just like a roll and write. I think it was Medici or something. Yeah, it was Medici. And my toddler actually, she woke up. She was with my partner, but he didn't see. I think he was making her breakfast or something. And she went into the back room. She had texters. She drew all over Medici, but she didn't touch my friend's Spirit Island.
You've never been so happy to have your game drawn on.
Right. Oh, like, fine. This is okay. It's a roll and write. It's meant to be drawn on. Oh dear.
Man, I don't think there's anything more terrifying than a toddler with a texter. Just saying.
No.
It's up there. Definitely up there.
Actually,
Especially
maybe
when you're
toddler with a
renting.
permanent marker.
Yeah.
Especially when you're
Or a
Or a
renting.
fork.
Yeah, when you're
When
renting.
Have a try with a toddler with a 1 litre tub of baby powder. Unsupervised.
A can of paint.
That's not good either.
We this reminds me of another story. Once again, way off topic, but we were looking at selling our car, and we decided, we're going to sell it. We got it. We got the the roadworthy done and put the ad up. Anyway, later that day, my daughter, who was about 8 or 9 at this time, went into the passenger seat of the car to do something, broke the handle of the passenger seat door on the way out, and we're like, oh gosh, well that's something to replace. We can handle that. And then later on, while helping Mum get some stuff out from her art room, tipped a 4-litre tin of yellow paint all over the back of the car, like the inside of the car. And I wasn't home. I've come home and my wife is scrubbing, bawling her eyes out. Scrubbing like- So needless to say, we still have that car. It's no longer for sale because it's a Heidi Chivers signature edition.
Fantastic.
Can you still see it? Is there the remnants of the yellow?
The yellow paint for sure. Yeah, we didn't get all that out. And the door
Custom
handle
paint
was
job.
initially it was 3D printed, but then we bought a proper one. So yeah. But that's when whenever we talk about 3D printing, I'm like, oh, I printed a door handle. That was the door handle.
That was that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think another scary moment is when you realize the game piece is missing from a game.
Oh,
That's
man.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think you've lost something and you've already chucked the punch boards in the bin,
Yes.
and you're going, oh man, did I
Yeah.
not punch one?
Yeah.
Did I miss one?
Triple check my punch boards before I throw them out. Like, have I punched everything?
What was that? What was taverns like, Jules? Because I've heard a lot of people say they've accidentally thrown stuff out in taverns of Tiefenthal.
Really?
Yeah, apparently the punch
I don't
boards.
really remember. Like, yeah, I mean, there's lots of different modules in the game, so you have to separate the modules because you have to use them in order if you want to use. Like, if you want to use 3, you have to use 2. You can't just pick and choose. You have to add them sequentially. But yeah, there are lots of little bits, like there's little schnapps tokens that are really tiny, cardboard tokens. So I could see it would be yeah, it's definitely possible to throw something out and not realize it. That's for sure. But yeah,
You know what's even more scary though, Mitch?
What's that?
Figuring out you don't have a game piece, and then also finding out that it's distributed by Asmodee.
Yep.
And you've got to get it sent to Croatia or whatever.
So you can pick them up in Croatia for me and send them over. That'd be great.
Yeah. On the same token, that was
On the same
no
token,
pun
one in Croatia.
is when you're playing a legacy game and you open up the box and pieces are missing, or they've put the boxes in the wrong order. So you open up box 1, that's been swapped with box 2. That happened to me in Risk Legacy. We opened up 1, and it was totally. I said, have I totally stuffed up? And it wasn't. There's some pretty big things that happen. I won't spoil them, but. Yeah, so I literally gave it away after that because I said, well, I know what the end is, so I'm just going.
Oh, it wasn't like with box 2. It was like the last box.
Yeah, so like the last things that you open.
Oh, no.
We played it for like a whole week. We're like, yes, let's just open up one of these ones. And then we ended up opening up 2, and I just gave it to my brother. I said, you guys can finish it. I don't want to play it anymore.
That's
That happened to a guy in our community page just last week. He had like a counterfeit copy of Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and the legacy deck's in the complete wrong order.
Yeah.
That's so sad. Like,
of course, Jules laughs.
Yeah.
Jules laughs.
Laughs like the
Hang on,
fucking
but
penguin.
you said it was a counterfeit copy, so I guess you could say you get what you pay for.
No, but in fairness, Jules, he didn't know it was counterfeit when he bought it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
all
was-
right.
he was saying, is this counterfeit because this has happened and this has happened?
Gotcha.
So,
And actually, to be honest, I was actually amazed at the knowledge that the community had. They were like, oh, if these cubes are printed at this angle and it's got this funny little thing in the corner, that's the counterfeit. And they were all like, he took photos of his cubes and they could figure it out. But that would be just disheartening.
Come on, we're all
I bought
pedantic
stuff.
board gamers. We do not want a counterfeit copy of anything.
No,
We
I
want the
bought-
real thing.
I bought stuff off eBay like a long time ago because it was like free shipping and stuff, but they didn't seem to be counterfeit copies, like not to my knowledge. So, and I never bought anything massive. It was just like Exploding Kittens and things like that. It's not like a big game like Legacy where you'd be soul destroyed for it. So,
Well, counterfeit Exploding Kittens might actually be better than normal Exploding
it
Kittens.
could be.
Yeah, it might be.
well, Terraforming Mars
Discuss.
cops a bit of that too, because
Yeah.
Terraforming Mars components are so poor. But I can vouch for the real version because my sister played Terraforming Mars with me, and she then went out and bought a copy off eBay, and I'm like, oh yeah, how much did you pay for it? And she's like, only like $40. I'm like, oh. That doesn't sound right. And she's like, oh, no, it's all good. And then she got it. And then she's, I was speaking to her about it. And she's like, it's a bit weird how some of the cards have those big blue like circles over some of the letters. And I'm like, what? and she said, she said, we talked about it before. And I'm like, yeah, the components aren't the greatest. So she's probably thinking this is normal. And then she was like, yeah. And then my board is starting to remove itself from the,
From the backing of it.
underneath it says Kellogg's.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't think you got the right thing. And then I got down there, had a look at it. And if you Google Terraforming Mars counterfeit, it's like there's these blue circles on the cards. The logo is different on the front box, and the cubes are wrong, and ticked every single box. So, but then what do you do? Like in that situation, that's a really good question. Do you like it's not her fault? And like if I was shopping for Terraforming Mars as a board game hobbyist and I saw a copy for $40, I would go, that's a counterfeit.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
But for someone
if you're
who's
not into the hobby, you might just go bargain.
just picked it up. Yeah, happy days.
On a sale bin or whatever.
Yeah.
Was it playable? Was it fine?
Yeah, like it was playable. Yeah, and what I suggested she do was buy the Hellas and Elysium expansion, which is a double-sided board, and just use that board and throw the other board in the bin, or buy a play mat. And then the cards you just don't need to use those cards. I mean, there's so many cards in that game, and missing a few is not going to hurt you. It's a tricky one because if you intentionally go, oh, I'm going to save money on this, and if it's counterfeit, I don't care, that's different. But if it's just sprung on you, it's not like people say, oh, you should throw them in the bin, or like, but who's that hurting? Like
no one.
Yeah. Well, it's hurting the person who bought it because then they've spent all this money.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got
Unless
nothing to
they've
show for it.
intentionally, like you said, unless they've gone somewhere dodgy or intentionally look to cut corners,
Hmm.
then they're not to know. So it is. It's a bit unfair, and you can't go back to Stronghold Games or whoever it is and
Yeah.
say, oh, because they have no part in it. They're
Yeah.
not the ones doing it. So it is tough.
They have popped up a lot though recently. Like those counterfeit games, I'd say in the past 2 years.
Oh yeah, big time.
They're everywhere now. Like all the shopping malls have pop-up shops, and I'm sure not all of those are legit copies.
Oh, yeah.
I see them outside pharmacies in Brisbane. I've seen them
Yeah.
outside of pharmacy, and they have like board games, and there's pandemics in there. There's exploding kittens. There's some other ones in there that are like,
And
you
they're,
know,
they're
unstable
risky
unicorns
too.
and
And
stuff.
most of the time, they're more expensive than you can buy from retailers anyway. They're just
Yeah,
trying to
for
take
sure.
advantage of people in the shops, you know, impulse buying and stuff like that.
The,
I read a story on Facebook from a lady on one of the larger pages, I think, who had commented how she bought a game. I don't remember which game it was, off either eBay or Amazon or something like that, and it had sat on her shelf of shame, still in shrink, for 12 months.
yeah, right.
And when she opened it up, it was just a ream of copy paper inside.
Oh.
It's painful.
It sat there all that time.
Yeah, 12 months.
There's a lesson in that for all of us.
Well,
Don't leave it in shrink. Play your games.
Get it off the shelf.
Mike,
I'll
you've
be
got
right
12
back.
reams of paper in there.
Open all my games. I've only got the ones I need to unbox that are sealed in it. Killing me. Killing me.
It's maybe that was just an analogy. She really didn't like the game. She's like, it was as boring as a ream of paper.
Must have been Nemo's War.
Oh,
One of the most terrifying things for me is when you get your
if
board
this
game
is a ream filled with ream of
massive
paper,
dent in the
I
box.
think I've actually like had a bargain. If
No, there's two. There's two reams
That's
in
a
there.
lot of paper.
yeah.
That dented delivery box, man, my heart drops.
Yeah, that's terrifying. No.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, to go one more, I sent one of the people in our board game barbecue community bought a game off me, and I sent it to them. And when they received it, it was like the box had been sat on, and it was Brass Lancashire, and it was the Kickstarter version with the beautiful components, and the box has just this huge big crack down one side. I'm like,
Oh no.
I can't do anything about this, but I feel terrible, you know, like. Yeah.
Yeah, the posties. Some of them they don't really care, do they?
No.
Just toss
No,
it.
they
I
don't
always-
understand.
I always think of that Ace Ventura bit where he's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yep.
often people give that a lot, put that in as a gift.
Yeah.
I have a problem as well because I used to buy a lot of comics. It's not as much anymore, but I still buy 4 or 5 pretty big books a year. But you know, they put them in cardboard, inside cardboard. They write "Do not bend" on it, and the amount of times I see them in like American envelopes, in American letterboxes, bent like all the way around. If that happened, I'd be so upset. It'd be so bad. Yeah, it does happen. They're just trying to get their job done. So.
Yeah.
Saw a postie pull up a little while ago outside my house, and I knew that it was a board game arriving. And as he opened up the door, I just saw a bunch of boxes fall out the van, and he's throwing them back in. And I'm like, no. And then as soon as he dropped it off, I grabbed it off and I was opening it as quick as I can to be like, look what you've done. Yeah, I was okay.
There's plenty of horror stories there. Like I've shared with you guys before, my Seventh Continent copy came with a hole in it. But yeah, in fair play, the company that sent it refunded me the cost of the entire game, and the company who made the game sent me a brand new box. So I can't actually complain. It was pretty good customer service in the end.
That's good.
That's one thing that is good about the industry. I mean, for the most part, you know, Asmodee excluded, most publishers are pretty happy to get you some stuff. The first day I got Parks, the Kickstarter edition. Played it with my family. My son dropped one of the little fireplace tokens onto the ground. My dog snaffled that up in a second. We call her the piranha now because anything comes off the table when she's onto it. And
that's a beagle thing. Trust me,
for sure.
I know that's like you can't drop anything.
Anyway, I wrote to the I don't know who, I should find out who they are, but they were great. I wrote to them and said, look, my dog chewed the token. I'm happy to pay for it. I'm happy to pay for shipping. You know, tell me what it costs if you've got any spares or whatever. And they said, send us your address. And like 2 weeks later, it turned up. And they were like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just
So,
I just did that for Heroes of Land Air and Sea, the expansion. The little standees for the airships that come with it were in a million pieces, completely and utterly shattered. Because I bought my base box secondhand, I didn't know how it came. I thought for a second you had to assemble it, and I was like, "Hang on a second, there's way too many shards in here." So I just emailed Game on Games, and I just got them today, and all nicely packaged in plastic, and then a good solid cardboard box, and no charge. Fantastic service.
That upsets me slightly, Jules, because I also had that happen with mine. And I sent away, and this was pre-COVID, so this is when I had my base box. And then I bought everything, so I sold the sealed base box and kept mine because I knew that they would replace those bits. And I actually just checked today because it's been forever, and my bits came to Perth. And now they're back in America. So,
no.
Like, I don't know when I'm going to get them. So hearing that you've got yours already.
In like 2 weeks.
Damn it. So no, it's been like since early August. So
oh my goodness.
I've emailed them again today and say, just letting you know that they're back in America. So if you're going to send them, I'm moving house. So send them to a new address.
Oh no.
But it's good to know that they will follow through for sure.
They will.
Yeah, one of my games had those.
Is a good idea. Is that what we're doing?
Sorry, Adrian, what?
We're giving the counterfeiters the best idea to get the real pieces for their games. Just send thousands of letters out saying, I need replacement parts for these games, and then they can just do them for free.
Yeah, I had one of those similar things happen with Gravwell, which is another one that has like ships, but it's only one ship sort of per player. And the red ship was broken. So I emailed Cryptozoic and they sent another red ship and it was broken, and then they sent another one and it was broken, and they kept putting it in the same, like a similar bag, and the bag just couldn't handle it, like even though it was a padded bag and stuff, it just didn't
so they didn't misread your email and they thought you said, can you send me a broken red ship?
Maybe
it's not broken enough.
and then it was like they must have just seen an email coming in from us all the time, and they were like, okay, well, they need another red ship or whatever. They finally got it, they put it in a box, and then we got another one, and I'm like, oh no, we're just going to keep getting, like, every week we're going to get a
just trolling you now.
You wanted ships, eh?
We'll send you ships.
Yeah, but it's funny, you open the box and it's just like all these red ships are in there. Some of them broken, some of them aren't.
That's fantastic. I like that.
Yeah, I've never had a broken piece in a game as yet. Like I've never, or a piece
Oh,
that I
you just
lost.
jinxed yourself, Hayden.
No.
That's
Every
it.
game you're on out.
Barrage is coming in the post.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, called down the bad juju.
He'll open up his box of Barrage. It'll be soaking wet. And he'll be like,
They used real water drops.
It's obviously the counterfeit version with the.
Oh dear.
So any other scary stories, either from board games or not from board games out there?
Has anyone been scared while playing a game? Like we talk about stuff like atmosphere and stuff like that, but has anyone actually played a game and been like, I'm frightened? Right.
Me, no. My opponents, probably.
My opponents all the time. Can't scare cardboard, Mitch. It has no feelings.
That Automa was shaking in his boots.
He was terrified.
Every time I play Blood Rage and I throw down Odin's throne.
That's pretty scary. It's true.
I've never had it when I've been like scared, but excited or thrilled and stuff. Like, yeah, but not scared.
Anxious? Yeah, like you know, like Zombicide. I think we were all playing and we were surrounded by zombies.
Yeah.
You know, how are we going to get to this section? And there's, 100 zombies on the board and more coming. That anxiety of how are we going to do it? Are we going to roll the right roll to be able to get it? I love that feeling in a board game.
Yeah.
It's not frightened, but anxious and, are we going to get there,
Yeah, I've definitely had anxiety for sure in a couple of games.
Yeah.
But, not fear.
Last Halloween.
A feeling of dread when someone flips your color in Cosmic Encounter after you just already been attacked like several times. You're like, no, not again.
Isn't that you normally doing that, Jules?
It's just called the Fate deck, I'm pretty sure.
The last Halloween, we ran a game night here in town. We played all the games like Horrified and Betrayal House on the Hill and those sort of things. And the Horrified game was the standout because we played, I can't remember, it was 5 players, but we played in teams because there was 10 of us. So it was like a lot of people around this board. And it was actually the first time I played it. So, and I was teaching it. So it was everyone's new experience. And at first it was a bit clunky and had to explain a lot. And it was taking a bit longer than I wanted to, but it got to a point where on it was clearly going to be one person's turn that was going to decide the win or loss. They had to roll 2 dice and get 2 successes for us to win. Anything other than that, and we've lost the game. And it was one of those. So the fact that it was a horror game is just coincidence, but it was one of those moments where it was like the room was silent and everyone was so fixated on these dice. And just for theatrics, he rolled 1 die first and then the other die second. So he rolled the first die and it's a success, and everyone's just gone, oh, like we're still in it. And then they built up all that pressure again. It's like when you watch poker and they put out the turn and then they wait before they turn the river. Yeah. It was like that. And then he's rolled the second one and we've got a success. And I kid you not, there was hugging, there was high fives. It was the most unbelievable finish to a game. Of any game I've ever played, that was the most unbelievable finish for sure.
I have to say that that's one thing that the dice and luck element does give you. It gives you that moment of like, yes, we did it, like the luck element. Like whereas the Euro games don't have that as much. So
the other side of that is pulling a 3 out of your bag and quacks. I just need anything but this one. And
after you've used your potion.
Yeah. MJ did it the other day. It was a 1 in 19 chance, and she pulled it straight away. First one. Just went, oh, there you go. I'm out. And I was like, yeah.
The same, and he eventually lost the game because it was his last round, and he pulled out. He pulled out two white twos, and the white 3 like in the or something like that. Oh, he's like, this is crap. I hate this game.
That's actually straight out of the Strategy of Steve book you can buy from good retailers.
What about Adrian, when you're playing 3rd edition and you have someone that can roll like 100 dice?
Oh yeah,
they only get like 1
fails.
Like,
fail,
oh my god!
How did you do that? You're talking from experience because that's what you did the whole time. Like the guy with the machine gun, and he had like 10 dice.
And you're blessed too, so you have an extra, like 4s and successes too, and it's like,
I'd have to say that one of the thrilling bits for me is in 3rd edition on the 6th scenario. So that's the 2nd scenario of the small box expansion. There's a monster in there that is like the big boss of the whole game. And the way it works is that the map is kind of like a zigzag rather than a sort of circle. Usually you kind of travel around, but in this one, it's like a zigzag shape. And you go to the boss at the end of the track, basically, and you summon him up or whatever. I can't remember the storyline for that piece, but when he spawns, you have to move and then attack and set traps and things because he devours the board. So you pull the board off the game and you lose that piece of the board every time he moves off of it. So you're moving and shooting, and it feels like it actually feels a bit like Terminator 2 in the chase from outside the police station where John Connor's reloading the gun and then Sarah's like passes him another gun and stuff. That's how it feels. It's like, move, come on, let's go, set this, do that, shoot, move, come on. Like you just keep moving and this thing just keeps coming. And it took out MJ on the 2nd to last tile, and it was my last go, and I just bought the shotgun, which is like the most OP. And if you roll 6s, you get 2 successes. And I rolled like double 6 and got 4 successes and managed to kill him on the last go. Nice. The last go on the last dice. And yeah, I know what you mean about that horrified thing because it was very much like, yeah, you went down.
Yeah. You ring up a mate and you tell them and they're like, what are you talking about?
2:45 in the morning, go back to bed.
You've just reminded me of Betrayal at the House on the Hill. I don't know if any of you guys have played that.
Oh yeah, lots.
Yeah, it's like it's not my favorite game, but the fact that it has that mechanic where you're all exploring together and then all of a sudden something goes down. And then if you're the hero, if you're like one of the good guys, you don't even know what that's going to be. And I think that is really cool because only the trader knows what's about to happen. You only know a little bit, I think, right? Is the heroes, you only know a little bit and then it just sort of unfolds. It's really cool.
You've got your mission, and then the haunt has the haunt's face when he comes back in the room. So you send them out to have to read what they've got to do. When he comes back in the room, and they've got that look on their face, and you're like,
evil smile.
It's off you, like I'm not. And then it's like, I'm gonna get you. You're like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Fun is lagging a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Speaking
my
of
bad.
being, a game being hard on you and being anxiety ridden, I'm about a third of the way through my first ever Pandemic Season 1 experience. And man, that is, and obviously I can't say a lot, but man, the way that game progresses and the way it changes as you go, it just, everything matters. And we had a run the other day, but we lost one game. We were trying to give another go. And literally, we just didn't want an epidemic to happen. And we're at the bottom of the deck. And we're just hoping that the last card would be that card. And it was. But just flipping cards, waiting for that thing to come out was just so intense. And just flipping every card slowly. And, I like to flip one card and do the, sad face. And everyone's like, oh, no. And it's like, all right.
I'm so keen to get that back to the table because I think we only spoke about this the other week, but I've heard a few people recently talk about it where they say the reason it's their favorite game is because September and we're up to like July or August.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, I got to get that back to the table. I got to see what all the fuss is about.
I think we just hit May. So yeah, I'm keen. I'm keen being.
Well, what else has been going on, guys? It's obviously been a fairly big period in board games. We just had the Essen Spiel. Adrian got zero sleep throughout that period. What did you get? What did you get to play? What's the new stuff you got to play?
I got to play God Loves Dinosaurs. It was my first Pandasaurus game. I really liked it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
You mean you liked the game you last
crazy.
played?
No way. Was it the best game ever?
That's not the last game I played. It wasn't the best game ever, but it was really good and I really enjoyed it. And there was a bunch of reasons behind why. I haven't played many of those polyomino shaped games, and it kind of had like two of those shapes connected together, so it kind of looked like a bone almost, and you kind of make a grid and you make a land mass which has prey in it, so you can put down, I think, like a lake, a forest, and maybe like a field, and you have like rats, frogs, and I can't remember what the other one was. Might be rabbits, and you have to put those tiles down to spawn those prey, and then you put other tiles down which have predators on them, and then the predators eat the prey, and if you eat a certain amount of prey in a turn, you will then spawn more predators. So it's like they've eaten well so they can have offspring, they can have a family because they are a good pride, because it's tigers, and I think the other one is like a hawk, and they move differently. So the predators move differently. The hawk or the eagle moves in one line, but he can move 3 spaces, so he can devour 3 things if you've got 3 things in a line, and then he can spawn 2 because he's eaten from himself and he's able to feed his family twice and spawn the other 2. And then the tiger can move any direction but only twice. And once you've done that, you can then move the dinosaur or the T-Rex looking guy, and he eats the predators. So he has to have predators on the board, otherwise he dies. And then the only way to get him back again is to spawn an egg, and that costs resources and things. But it was really simple, but really well executed. Like, I really enjoyed it. Another thing that I really liked as well is that I don't think Finn's that far off away from playing it. There's no real numbers in it. It's all iconography. It's like King Domino meets Silk. That's the best way I could describe it. Like, you have tiles, and they have like a wild tile which can match to any other one, and then that spawns the frogs, and the frog can when it's the frog's turn to spawn, you spawn one frog, but if it's connected to multiple areas, you can spawn multiple frogs. So yeah, it was just good. I really enjoyed it. You spawn the frogs, you eat the predators, you know, spawn more prey, build a bigger island. You know, it has to all match up to a degree. You can get another dinosaur, so you can actually roll 2 dinosaurs, but they have to finish back in their nest. So they kind of come out of their nest, but if there's 2 of them, they can kind of clockwise move and swap houses. But yeah, I really liked it. That was awesome. I played with a really good group of people. It was really funny, had a good laugh. Spencer was the guy who taught it. He just joined our Discord, and yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. So I played that. I played the expansion for Quacks, the Alchemists.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for. Come on,
That's what I'm
now.
waiting for. And you didn't ask when it was coming out.
No, dude, I think it was like
It's one job.
It was like 4:40 in the morning, and I was teaching Barrage at 5.
Excuses.
But yeah, I liked it, but it has like an a beaker type system over the top of your cauldron. It can be played with the Herb Witch expansion, so you can have both, or you can play it as a single expansion and have just this Alchemist expansion by itself. And you're trying to cure different diseases as well, while you're trying to cure your original problem, which I can't remember what it was. Is it the plague? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you're trying to cure
original.
that. Yeah,
You're just trying to sell. Aren't you just a charlatan who's trying to sell these fancy
Yeah.
potions?
Trying to make like love potions and
Yeah.
homesick
So
potions.
you're
and
making
You're not
that.
trying to cure anything.
So
Yeah.
this one, you're trying to cure other diseases while you're making that potion. So on the board, you draft. Well, they had 3 out, so I think you might draft 3. But I was told that there was 11, I think, different diseases, and they've all got comical pictures and iconography for that. And then you have your beaker, but your beaker's like, it has all these tubes running through it, like pipes, like pressure pipes. So once you pick your disease, you're allowed to pick a different tile from that disease section, which then goes into your beaker. So it connects those pipes up. So they connect to the icon on your card. And that card could be anything from get a ruby, get victory points, get like 3 or 4 victory points, which is right at the far end. So if you can get enough from it, you can get like a really big bonus. But to get those, you have to there's a bunch of rule sets to do it. So the first one is if you have a player to your left or right explode, you move your marker up 1 in that beaker section. So if 2 people go bust either side of you, you move it 2.
That's cool.
If you finish on a 7 cherry bombs, you get to move it 1. So it's kind of a bit more of a incentive to try and
Push your
push your luck
Yeah.
a bit more.
That's cool.
And then the other one is for every different color that you have on your in your cauldron or in your pot, you get to move it another 1. So
All right.
so if you have 6 colors, and then you also have the 7 and so on blows next to you, that's 9. So you're going to go right to the far end of that beaker, and that gives you like a huge bonus. It can be, like I said, there's on the table, because they only had the 3 different diseases, they had 3 cards for each disease. So there was 9 to pick from. But if there's 11 different diseases, that's 3 times 11. So there's 33 different beakers that you can work with. It was really good. I liked it. It wasn't like groundbreaking or anything, if I'm honest, but I think that it encourages people to buy different tokens. That's the best thing about it. You're not just going, well, the blue one, if I buy the blue one, I get to pull 4 out. I'm just going to keep buying blues for days. You're more encouraged to go, I'm going to get a red, I'm going to get a yellow, I'm going to get an orange, I'm going to get a black, and do that. It was in German, so I was very lucky to have the teacher had to leave, and I was left with a 13-year-old lad who spoke pretty good English, actually, to be honest. He was pretty good. He wasn't spot on. And then another guy who I think his name was Kenny or something, and he was great, and he translated the whole game while I played it, and it was a great chat, and it was awesome. And they had a new herb or a new token thing, yeah, and a new ingredient, and the ingredient translated to a fool's herb. So it was the fool's herb, and
You just struck fear in all of the people's wallets that have the Geek Up bits, so they're going to have
Yeah.
to buy another set.
Oh yeah.
That's why it's called the Fool's Herb.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the way the Fool's Herb works is it has no number on it, and it always costs 12. So that's what it costs. But the way it works is if you pull out a 2 cherry bomb, then a 3 cherry bomb, then you place the Fool's Herb anywhere after that, you go forward 5.
Oh, wow.
So if you have one, if you pull out a 1 cherry bomb, then pull out the Fool's Herb, you just go forward 1. So if you have it, if you're on 7 and you pull it out, you go on 7. It was pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I bought 2 of them because I was like, I haven't seen this. I want to buy this one.
Yeah,
I'm a fool.
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that was pretty fun. I did like it. I thought it was good, but I only own the base set at the moment, so I'd get the Herbs Witches, I think, first. Because that's Steve has said that's a very good expansion. Someone said it
for sure.
It's critical.
So I'll definitely get that before I get this. I mean, it's not even out yet as far as I'm aware, so
no.
Yeah. But I played that, and then I played another game which was like I can't really describe it. It was a deception kind of game called Shamans. And that was really cool.
Oh, I've heard about Shamans.
Cards.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Cards looked phenomenal. The colors and the vibrancy of all the colors and stuff on those cards was next level. I was like, I thought maybe these are just like they've changed the hue and saturation or something for the mod. But I looked at the pictures online, and those colors are just as beautiful on the table from the printouts. So I won't go too much into that because that was a very, very early morning at that point. I was a little bit confused on what I was doing, but it was great. I loved it. Like, I had a great time. The people in the group were really nice, and that always makes it's fun. And I really was grateful that we could like join Spiel in a way and meet some people. And I actually got to talk to a bunch of different people. And during the God Loves Dinosaurs game, the designer came into the room and said hello. And, we managed to make contact with him and stuff. And yeah, it was just really cool. It felt like that atmosphere. It was really fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
What about yourself, Sarah? You got involved a fair bit too?
Unfortunately not. I did have a lurk around on just basically on the website, and I did join a couple of Discords, and Adrian's right, it did give you that feel like that you're walking up to a booth, because as soon as you join the Discord, it drops you straight in the chat. You can overhear what people are talking about. They're talking about their games. This is like a publishing, each publisher had their own Discord channel basically. So you'd hear about what games they were showing and what they were playing. So that was really nice. But for me, the times just weren't good. I'm not like Adrian. I like my
Somebody thought it was a good idea at 9:30 on a Saturday to go, oh, the Spiel's on. That's really cool. And I was like, oh no, I can't miss out.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I basically just threw it to Adrian. You can go.
Fair enough.
It's a hand grenade.
Great time, of course.
Well, I don't know what will be there, but I'll be going to Essen Unplugged in Canberra that will be held at the end of November. So that's where they bring some of the games from Essen Spiel over. So yeah, I'll report back and see what's there.
Cool.
At the end of November.
That'd be really cool.
I've already got some of the Spiel games on pre-order. Like I've ordered Bonfire. I was interested in that Stefan Feld one. And Cloud Age.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got Cloud Age on pre-order too.
Yeah. So there was already some that I'd looked into and pre-ordered anyway. But there was also options that you could order them, that you could order the games direct from publishers and things like that.
I have a few Kickstarters that have been delayed because of COVID, and it's all the Lucky Duck games actually, and they've actually sent us emails saying, look, we're only going to do this if the majority of you say yes, but do you have any issue with us selling retail versions of our games at Essen Spiel before you get your Kickstarter versions? Because we're still waiting on, their idea was that they're sending out a few via air to be able to have them promotable during Essen, during Spiel, but then obviously the rest of them are going by ship, so we'll get ours later. So that was an interesting thing that the 2020's brought about, because there's a lot of people, most people were like, yeah, don't care, do what you like, and but there were a few other people that were were downright cranky about it. Where it's a little bit different to the Marvel United situation, where it just turned up in retail before, like with no prior knowledge. The fact that they actually asked their backers, I think, was a really good touch.
Is that was the Chronicles of Crime?
Yeah, and Kingdom Rush as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I find it's interesting with the Chronicles of Crime one because they've all the production of all the physical components for those 3 expansion games is done.
Yeah,
but the work that they're doing with the stories and the scenarios that will come in the apps are not done. So what they're going to do is send all of the physical component copies out to people, and then when the apps are done and ready to go, they'll let everyone know, or the apps will let everyone know, hey, we've finished this now and you can now start playing it. Because you've already got the games in your house, So I thought, well, at least they're doing something. I mean, they could just sit on it until it was all ready. I'd rather get my games and be able to have a look at them and whatever first,
Yeah, it's interesting that they're doing that, I think. Because I think the 1400
is ready
to go, So I guess the idea is you'd work your way through that, and hopefully by then the 1900 one to be up. And
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
I was just going to say one of the games I really wanted to look at as well at the Spiel was the Lost Ruins of Arnak, which has a huge amount of buzz at the moment, and it looks awesome because it's got deck building and exploration. So sounds like my kind of thing. Yeah, sign me up.
You look at I know you're a big deck builder sycophant. Did you look into the Kickstarter? What's it called? That the Snowy Wasteland one that just came out today.
Yeah.
It's deck building and worker placement.
The Endless Winter is that it? Yeah. I've got my eye on that, but I'm banned from Kickstarter. So
there's another one actually that's just been released as well, which is that Dire Alliance horror, and that's done by the people who did Undaunted Normandy, and I can't remember. And War Chest. Yeah. And there's a lot of big buzz about that. And on top of that, it's going to be, apparently it's going to be a little bit like, the Unmatched series, because you get 4 characters or so many characters in that one, but then they're going to gradually release updated content and have it like as it's a 2-player battle game. So I'm interested in that because I love Undaunted Normandy. Heard plenty of good things from Sarah about War Chest. So
there was loads of minis in that though as well, right? I think I went through it and I was like, wow, a lot of plastic here.
Yeah. So I'll keep my eye on that one for sure.
Talking about lots of minis, I played and backed the Frostpunk a couple of days ago, and I'm really impressed with their minis, but lots of people aren't. What do you guys think?
I think it looks great.
I thought it looked outstanding.
Nice too.
Yeah. And for someone who's moving towards your area, Adrian, I'm really happy you backed that too.
I don't know about that, Steve, because that was one of the reasons why I opted out, was because it looks like a solo game that they've crammed a multiplayer aspect into.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how it will go multiplayer. Like, hopefully it will go well, but
I believe they addressed that in one of their later updates. And made some changes, so it's not as simple as that, because that was definitely a concern at the start.
It was. Yeah.
I'm confused as to why this is a problem for Mitch.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I want to know whether Mitch plays Twilight Imperium 6-handed.
It was what threw me was because this War of Mine, which is a great game, is the same. It's a solo game, and that's all there is to it. It's a solo game. Nemo's War, same thing. They tried to, add in. It's like when they release a multiplayer game and then they stitch on a solo game. It doesn't really work that well. You've got to kind of build it from the start, as with those components in it, with those options available. If you take a game that's like this War of Mine is good, it's very narrative based. It's a heavy topic or whatever. But in terms of the multiplayer side of it, is just literally, okay, you play as a team. You don't get allocated individual characters. You all manage all the characters, because I think in this War of Mine you play 3. I think to start off with 3, you get 3 people, but you all just collectively as a committee make decisions.
Yeah.
And each round, one of you is the tiebreaker. So if I'm the lead player that round and there's a dispute, then I make I have the final say over what decisions that we're going to do is.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah, but Frostpunk doesn't do that though, so I have faith it'll be good.
It sounded a little bit like that multiplayer wise, where they said you're the city council and you're all making
controlling
decisions
one player, but the players don't do anything different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could just play it solo.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you wanted
100%.
to.
It sounds like but yeah. So that's kind of what turned me off on that one. And this War of Mine, although good, was just it's just too hard, and it was just draining. Like
I really want to play it. I really want to play it, but I don't want to own it because everyone I've heard who's played it says it's great, but they only want to play it once. Kind of reminds me of that Requiem for a Dream. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but you only need to see it. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen, but you only need to see it once. You don't need to go back and watch it 5 times.
Yeah.
It's not Pulp Fiction. What I was going to move on to is the bracket, because we are done with round 2 and we're going to move into the nitty gritty round 3 where things get real, and 16 games left. It's kind of crazy. So I was just going to run through the battles again like we did at the end of round 1 and discuss each of them briefly. So I'll start at the top. Our number 1 seed, Terraforming Mars, up against Root.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
I know who Jules is voting for.
This is going to be close.
Absolutely.
Hate draft. It's the equivalent of hate drafting.
It is.
Yeah. Hate voting.
No, but I genuinely think Terraforming Mars is a better game.
You've said it about all the games that Root's up against. So it's like,
Well, that's correct.
Yeah, well, I put Terraforming Mars in, and I don't know. I think Root's really good. I like it. And I haven't played Terraforming Mars for a long time. Like, I really haven't. It hasn't come off my shelf for so long now because, like I said a couple of weeks ago, your taste in games changed so much. And there's so many games that are out that they have to be really good to have a replay value. And like, I would find it a struggle to get some of my friends that I play games with to just be like, hey, we're going to play Terraforming Mars, and then everybody enjoy it straight off the bat,
Yeah,
So,
that's the biggest struggle I have with that game is getting it to the table with people, because I love that game, but my gaming group's just not into the theme, so we play Scythe. That's basically what we do.
like-
so
What a hard day for you, Steve.
But like,
Yeah.
I think of like
Rats.
some of the games that we have and stuff, and like, you could crack out Everdell, and everyone loves it. It looks beautiful. It's got great pieces. It visually is stunning, and it's fun and enjoyable. And then you could do the same with, say, Tapestry. The same thing. Like, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's got beautiful components. Terraforming Mars is great mechanically and great thematically, but it just, it's not the most pleasing thing to play, if you know what I mean.
I don't think it's that bad. Is it really that bad? I don't remember it
we're
being
not
that
doing
bad.
the battle now,
cards
guys.
were
Come
different. No, let's do it now. Let's just do it now.
Let's do it now. I voted for Terraforming Mars.
I
So I don't
mean,
even know what
if
I'm
we
talking
want to
about.
dig Root's grave now, I'm for that. But
Do you think Terraforming Mars might be suffering from a little bit of oldness, though?
Yeah.
It's getting
I think
to the
it
point
is.
now where it's
I think
kind of
it'll
like
age.
a lot of people played it, like in the gaming community, and it's kind of like the whole Blood Rage thing, right? I know I'm the sole person,
No.
but I feel like Blood Rage is a game that was great 5 years ago, but people have improved upon it with games since then. They've
See, I don't know whether Terraforming Mars is just the most amazing engine builder. Like, I can't think of a better, even come close to that as far as engine building goes. And that's that. So I think it's still, definitely in the forefront of gamers' minds. I think it's.
I love everybody's faces today.
I'm like,
Everyone's like wincing, and Connor's laughing.
So what have you got,
now.
Sarah? You feel like you're like, nah, Steve, this is a better engine builder. What have you got for me?
I was just thinking, I prefer like Great Western Trail and Maracaibo as a engine builder, or Terra Mystica,
Yeah.
Barrage. Engine building, that's a tough one. There's so many good games. There's so many.
I was just thinking, just going back to what Steve said, how he said he thinks it's the best engine builder. Well, if he thinks it's the best engine builder, there's still engine builders out there, but there's still nothing that does what Root does the way it
There's
does
nothing
it.
is as bad as it.
Whatever, Jules. But there's nothing that does it that way. Like in the way that it plays, if you want an engine builder, you can go play other ones like Everdell, like Seasons or whatever. But nothing plays like Root does. There's no war game unless you're going to go down the route
Warhammer.
Warhammer, obviously.
Well, Rising Sun's a bit like that because you've got different factions in that with different powers.
Rising
But I
Sun-
don't think
Rising
it's
Sun
quite
Blood
as
Rage
similar?
2.0.
Isn't Vast similar where there's all different factions and none of them play alike?
Yeah.
And
Oh, true.
I haven't played either, but like both of those games intimidate me as a newbie because I'm like, well, it's hard enough to learn one thing and not know what everyone else is doing. And if I want to try a different faction, I have to learn a whole new game. So that like intimidates me as a player. Whereas if I jump into Terraforming Mars, I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what Steve's doing, like I feel I can get
Yeah.
into it a bit easier.
But Vast isn't a war game though.
No.
True.
Mm.
But before we move on to the next one, and we're not here for another 20 minutes debating the first one, Root is a gamer's game. Connor, drop the mic.
It is a gamer's game.
We need to get the bit. So we would normally at this point play the Stephen Bonacore. Root is the greatest game that Mike got from the virtual gaming con. But
Terraforming Mars,
maybe-
I think.
maybe when
he wouldn't be
Terraforming
saying
Mars-
Root is a great game.
Sorry, Terraforming Mars, my mistake. But maybe rather than play the Terraforming Mars bit, maybe we should just get him on the show to argue against Connor.
I think so.
Bring in the heavy
Yeah.
artillery.
What would he know about that game that I don't know about?
They probably know to call it Terraforming Mars, which is one up on me. So the second battle, which one of them has already been mentioned in the last battle, which is Great Western Trail versus Dinosaur Island.
Oh,
That'll be
yes.
interesting.
Mitch versus Mike
Mitch and
again.
me.
Here we go.
I hate
Let's
to break
do
your
it.
heart twice, Mitch. It's got to be a shame.
Mate, I think you might have bitten off more than you can chew on this one.
I don't know. I reckon Dinosaur Island has enough people behind it. Got a lot of hype from Dinosaur World, mate.
Just remind me, what did Dinosaur Island beat in round 2 to get through here?
That's the bad question.
Pandemic Legacy, mate.
No.
it beat,
It's been the
no.
giant killer.
Continent.
Seventh continent. It's beaten
Seventh
Pandemic
continent.
Legacy in seventh
Yeah.
continent. That's
Seventh
some tough
continent,
opposition, man.
Nah. Great Western Trail, we buried on Mars, mate.
Yeah.
Carl's biggest, latest offering, buried.
I don't know.
So,
knocking out 2 of the top 20 games on BGG. That's Dinosaur Island. That's pretty
It's going to be
huge.
interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a good fight.
All right. Arkham Horror, living card game.
Next.
Versus what?
Doesn't matter.
I'm gonna summon the Stonemaier gods and try and get viticulture over the line.
Okay.
Ooh.
That could actually be good.
That's sort of like the two like almost the two groups that are charging the hardest for their games.
Yeah.
Are coming head to head. So regardless of, I think whoever wins out of this one doesn't mean they'll go through and win, but like that community will get the other one over. So it could be viticulture, it could be whatever.
I reckon viticulture's got half a chance. Like it's like the top 20 game on BGG,
Yeah.
and it's been around for a long time. Got a lot of fans,
But
but I can't. After what's happened with Gloomhaven, I just can't imagine Arkham losing.
But then Gloomhaven polarizes a lot of people
It does.
because
it really
Gloomhaven's
does.
such a behemoth, right? Like for those of us that are happy to sit down and play heavy games, fine. But for people that are casual gamers, well, not even so much casual gamers, we've got a lot of people in our Discord that probably wouldn't take the time and effort to play Gloomhaven.
I won't. It just doesn't grab me.
Yeah, well, there's more
Because
than
you don't
6
like
cards in
helping
it.
other people. That's why.
hey, Jules didn't like Res Arcana, and there's only like 10.
No, I didn't really like it. It's okay.
10 cards.
That was-
That's 4 too many.
Right.
Jules saw an old lady crossing the street, and there was this bus coming,
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
and he's just like, "Oh, that was a bad strategy on her part." I'll,
There's no reroll on that one.
all right, the next one, Codenames, still going strong versus Everdell.
Oh, it was fun while it lasted, Codenames.
Yeah, I feel like that's the
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Going to the end of the road.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we're saying about that one. Moving
Not
on.
to say it's not a bad game. It's still a great game.
But
It's a
I reckon-
fantastic game.
Yeah.
But I reckon the people who like Codenames also like Everdell,
Yeah.
and they'll like Everdell more.
Yeah.
That's what
I
it comes
agree.
down to.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's the right judge.
I'll be voting code names.
The next one up is our number 2 seed, Quacks of Quedlinburg versus Azul.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
Quacks
that
in the
is-
bag.
Yeah.
I think that's a comfortable win for Quacks personally. Dan will get to fight himself in that one too.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always fun. The next one, Champions of Midgard versus Spirit Island.
Oh, it's got to be Spirit Island.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, I think Spirit Island took
It
that one.
does.
Well,
I would agree.
I can
with that one.
categorically say that I think Champions of Midgard is the better game because I haven't played Spirit Island.
Totally unbiased opinion.
Yeah,
Have you
that's right.
softened on Spirit Island, Mitch, or are you just saying you'll think it'll win?
I
Because
think on popularity. I mean, I know loads of people love it. I'm not a massive fan. It just didn't set off any fireworks for me. This was more of a campfire.
Just a campfire.
Light bulb.
I was going to mention Champions of Midgard before when we were talking about you were talking about Arkham Horror and rolling all those fails. We had a similar moment once where a guy went sailing to fight monsters, and you've got to put the amount of warriors, which are the dice, you've got to put them on the long ship to sail across, and they're the only ones you can fight with. Anyway, he came across a kraken in the water, so he had to fight him first, and he lost one of his workers there. And then he got there, and then he lost the other 5 workers he had on that 5 warriors he had on the long ship. All died, and like usually you just go, "Oh, that's okay," because they go to Valhalla and they can help me. And he's like, "I don't want these useless warriors helping me for Valhalla." Good times, good times. All right, next up we have the eventual winner of the bracket, Scythe, up against Mansions of Madness.
I think
we're going to be.
I do think it's that game to pieces. So,
I think.
but you see,
there's
the
only room
Arkham
for
people are
one.
mental. Like,
That's
they can't
true.
just vote for anything.
Surely there's.
Yeah.
Surely there's only one Arkham game getting through to round 4. Surely.
Let's hope so.
Everyone thought there was none getting through to round 3.
Any
so-
rounds,
true.
yeah,
That's true. I'll happily see viticulture fall by the wayside if Scythe goes through. That's for
I'm
sure.
hanging for the Arkhams to go up against each other. That's what I was hanging
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
should have done that round 1.
Cannibalize themselves.
Why would you compare these games?
Watch
I
them
don't
all
know.
go mad.
It's like pretzels and ice cream.
That's like,
Apples and bicycles, isn't it? And then down the last one in the bracket, this one, I reckon this one's probably the most tricky to call.
Nah, we win.
Too Many Bones versus Gaia Project.
Oh man.
Too
That's-
many bones.
Both games aren't the most accessible games
No.
out there. Both have very, very crazy, keen fans that will gladly call that game their favorite game of all time. Like,
Yes.
so this, yeah, it's going to be really interesting, this one.
is that all of them?
That's it.
That's
Wow.
it. Oh, okay. Can I ask a quick question, which is not actually very quick, but just a question? What game would you now put in the bracket now? So we started that thing like 6 or 7 months ago. What game would
Oh my
you?
goodness, that's a
put
long
in?
conversation.
No, just one
Already put
game.
in?
Just
Yeah.
yeah,
One-
you haven't put in
one
already.
game.
You
Just
know
one
mine
game.
already, Adrian.
Do I?
I think
Barrage.
mine's the same as yours.
All right, there. Well, then we're in. We're already in, mate.
Barrage.
Barrage, yeah.
I think I'd put the Crew in for sure.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
There's a good one.
I think I'd put Vinhos in.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Really
put
enjoying
Baron
that.
Park in there. I've been loving that game.
Bit of Phil
Yeah,
Walker
Baron
Harding
Park's
love. Yeah.
good.
I'd probably put, it's already in there, but I'd put Spirit Island in for me. I think the amount of times I played it and how good it is.
Interestingly enough, in the lead up
Jules
to
has got one.
oh, sorry, yeah, just cut up. Sorry.
Cut out the evil
Man.
one. Can't do that.
The competitive spirit in me wants to pick one that'll go well, but
What about that one over your left shoulder? Your left shoulder.
Super Fantasy Brawl?
Yeah.
no. I think I'd put in Vindication.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
nice.
It's really good, and it has a crazy fan base, like crazy passionate fan base. So
Can I ask a question?
So that's the
'Cause
strategic
That's
game to
strategic,
put
yeah.
in
I wanna win.
because you want to
I
win.
want to win. I want to win.
actually, can I
it
just
actually would be the one I put in. It's really good.
I got a question for you about that game, Jules, because when you, for the first time ever, when you talked up a game on the podcast, I actually decided that I didn't want it. And I was really interested in your Vindication talk all the way through until you got to the point where you said a new win condition came out, and that just meant that one of your people won. Is that, did I misunderstand that?
No, so it's not win conditions, it's end game triggers. So different end game triggers come out that can trigger the end of the game, but you still get finish the round and get a final round to change things. So it doesn't determine who wins. It's just ways in which the end of the game is triggered. That's it.
If I can just interject as well there, Jules, you didn't get it, Steve, because you know that in December they're doing a massive Kickstarter for it.
They're running an expansion. They're running an expansion for it called Chronicles, and then obviously they'll offer all the bits with the game. In December.
I recently did my try to work out what my top 10 games of all time were. I did it a couple of days ago when I had something more important to do, but I felt like procrastinating. And it was such a great experience. I just used the Pub Meeple where they put 2 games up and you choose one, and something like 500 matchups I went through. So it took a bit of time.
Oh, wow.
But some of the matchups were just so harsh. Like you really have to sit there and go, I've got 2 games on my shelf. Which one do I want to play? Like it was some really tough decisions. And I won't go through the list because I'll save that for our top 10 games of all time, that we'll do towards the end of the year. But what I can say is of my bracket games, only 4 are still in my top 8.
Wow.
And one of them is 25.
Whoa, dropped.
So one's dropped down to 20. And I still love the game. Like
Poor
that was the thing that I got.
Mars. That's just
No. Well, what it actually showed me is because the last time I did a list like that, I looked at like my top. It was actually just after I played my 100th different game. So I thought, I'll rank all the 100 games I played and see where they all sit. And basically, the first 35 games were just rubbish that I didn't want to play. This time, I only chose games that I'd rated a 7 or higher, and I didn't have to own them. I just had to have played them. And I had 129 games that I've given a rating of 7 or higher. That's massive. So what I found is like I would literally play any game off that top 100 list and be happy. That's what's changed in the last 6 or 7 months, is that I've spent too much money on games, and now I have a whole bunch of really good ones because the 25th best game was previously in my top 8, and I would never say no if someone pulled it off the shelf to play. So I recommend doing it. It was loads of fun.
Yeah, I'll give it a go for sure.
I'd play any game that anyone wanted to play that they pulled off the shelf just because someone wants to play a game with me.
Oh, buddy.
That was a layup for you, Mike.
I didn't think you liked
to
that.
come back with like.
But he sounded so sad. So I couldn't hit you.
It sounded so sincere.
Got to give you a big hug, mate.
I don't know. If you didn't want to play with yourself, I'd say it's pretty sad.
You'd know about playing with yourself, wouldn't you?
Nope, I don't own any solo games.
that, my friends, is a low-hanging fruit.
I would have also definitely added Clank into it. Clank's become such a big favorite. And Mick and Starr the other day, new friends of the show, our family plays games. They told me there's a new expansion for it, which I had no idea. There's a new expansion where there's different starting decks for different kinds of characters.
That's cool.
Sounds amazing. Sounds like it adds such a new flavor to the game. Yeah. So that's on my list now. And Clank would definitely be up there now for sure.
Variable player panel sounds like something Blood Rage needs.
It does. It's called Different People's Brains.
That was. I don't know if that'll come out in the recording, but just as Jules said brains, he lagged a bit and he was like brains.
Zombie. It was like a zombie. Brain.
Very good. So I think that'll pretty much do us for tonight, guys. I hope you guys had a bit of fun, something different tonight. That
was good.
Yeah, unless anyone has anything particular they want to talk about, any games they've been playing that we haven't mentioned. No? All right. Well, thank you for enjoying the first Halloween special of the Board Game BBQ podcast. Make sure you stick around and keep listening to us over the next couple of weeks because we've got some awesome stuff happening. So firstly, this is episode 46. Episode 50 is coming up shortly. What is Connor doing?
Selfie.
Do a selfie.
So we've got episode 50 coming up. I may have foreshadowed a special guest coming up shortly as well, earlier in the episode. And we're starting the bracket next episode. So the first matchup of round 3 of the bracket will start up as well. So lots of really interesting stuff happening. Got a lot of guests coming up in the near future. But for now, that will finish us up. Thank you rather than go through individually, thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Happy
don't forget,
Halloween.
you still have time to enter into our Advent Games competition to win a copy of Tekkenu. Jump onto our Facebook page. It's pinned at the top to find out how to go about doing that. And with that, we'll sign off. Have a spooky Halloween.
Who did that? Who did next time gadget laugh?
That was awesome.
Whoever did that was genius.
I'll
get you next time.
I'll get you next time, Gadget.